Okay, I started recording right now. We are creating Google Forms. So once again, I'm going to go back to the Google form that I started creating, and you will notice that there's no form title. So I am just going to call this sample form. And if you want to add a description or directions for your students, this is where you would do that. So I'm going to just start, it offers you the first question. So this first question, I'm just going to model what I did in the last, in the quiz that you took. And the first quiz that, or the first question that I asked was how are you feeling as far as comfort level? You'll notice that Google Forms is pretty smart because it will, as you start to create the question, it will give you some offerings. So if I put in here, how comfortable are you feeling with Google Forms? You'll notice that it is suggesting already a linear scale for me. So I'm just going to put here comfortable. Actually, I'll make that very comfortable, not very comfortable. And then that's it. So the question, I'll show you what it looks like in preview mode, but if you would want, I just want to share with you some other options over here. If you would want to make a second question that is very similar to this, but maybe you're going to change a word or two, you could just copy that question. So you could duplicate this exact same question. This is what it looks like. Now you get to see a preview of what it looks like above. Okay, if that's not what you wanted for this question, it's not a big deal because there's a garbage can right here and you just delete it, which I'm gonna do. It goes back to the first question. I'm sure many of you have experienced a Google form where there's a little red star. That means that the person who created the Google form made this a required question. So you can turn that off. But my guess is for the most part, you're going to want that on. But if this is a form that you're sending out to parents to collect some information, and you might want to, ask them for a contact phone number and then a second contact phone number, well, they might not have a second contact phone number. So then you would turn off the required button because if you leave that required button on, which it defaults to, they won't be able to submit the form without submitting some kind of answer there. Okay, so at this point, I have one question. Now I'm going to add another question. What's nice about Google Forms is anything you hover over, a little pop-up explanation will appear. So I want to add a question. And I'm just going to take the opportunity to show you the different types of questions now. So as I said before, when you start to type the question, it kind of is smart and offers you a suggestion, makes the work a little bit easier for you as to what type of question you would like or what type of answer you would like to offer. But these are the other choices. In the quiz that you just experienced, there was a short answer, a paragraph, multiple choice. Check boxes would be when you want to offer more than one selection. So for example, if you were going to send something, just not academic home to your students during this week, what are some of the ways you've been spending your time? And offer them a whole bunch of choices. The check boxes would allow them to check more than one option, whereas multiple choice, there is typically, you're looking for them to answer with one. So let me just demonstrate a couple of these. So as far as a multiple choice question goes, are you able to access Google form? See, now you'll notice suggestions it's offered me. I don't have to use those, but because it offered me and it's going to make my life easier, I'm going to say yes, no, and then that's it. So now this is my multiple choice question. You can add as many choices as you'd like. I've never run out of choices. I'm going to add another question. Very simple. Let me do a short answer. What is your email address? And then short answer. Again, I could just click it like that, or as you can see, it made that offering to me. Okay, so I'm going to add another question. And this time I just want to show you some of these other items. So this one is if you want to import questions. Honestly, I'm not going to get into that right now. I tend to not import questions. I simply will copy and paste them from something else, from another document, or I will make a duplicate of this particular Google form in order to do that. You can add a title and a description. So this is basically like a break in your quiz or worksheet. So let's say that you're making this as a form, you know, to follow along with a reading assignment, and there was, you know, a chapter 1 or a section 1 and a section 2. In this way you can add, and you'll notice that that question was already opened. So I'm going to go and delete that one because that's a question that I'm not going to be using, because as I clicked on this add title and description, it's making a break. I'm getting rid of that one. And I'm just going to go here and, you know, call this section 2. And perhaps there's different directions for this one. So I'm going to put in here different directions and then move on. Okay, so that's how you can kind of separate or chunk your form, so you don't have to send out you know, different forms for different sections. Okay. The next thing I want to share with you is a video. So in the I'm going to actually go back to this form quickly and just grab this video link.
Hi there, I'm Jamie Keat and welcome to Teachers Tech. Hope everyone's having a great night tonight. Tonight we're going to take a look at the new Google Forms in this tutorial.
And I'm going to go back here. Oh, sorry. Go back to my form that I am creating. I got a lot of tabs open. So this time I want to add a video, and I'll come back to the image in just a moment. But this time I want to add a video. So I am going to click on that, and my video is coming from YouTube, so I can click on this link. If it is not coming from YouTube, you just click on URL, but it defaults you to this YouTube text box, and I am just simply going to paste my video, and I'm going to click on search. Now, the finicky thing here is obviously there's only one video up, but if I were to, because that I put in that exact link, but if I were to search for a video on, let's say, Google Forms, it would offer me a whole bunch of videos that I could select from. And then in that case, you would click on the video you want to select, and I'm going to click out of it. Well, actually, I don't think I can do that, but let me just search it again. I just wanted to point out to everyone how, I don't think it's going to let me recreate it, but when I before I clicked on this select button was grayed out. So it wouldn't have allowed you to just click on select until you click on the video you want and then select. And now it put it in here. So now I can title this video Google Forms and say, watch this video. Okay, and then you can, of course, left align, center, right align, remove it. You can change it if you want to, okay? But the one thing that it doesn't allow you to do is put a video and then add questions. It would have to be your next question in your Google form. So you can here ask question about the video. So if I was going to say, like, summarize what the video had, then you'll notice it recommends paragraph for me. So if I choose paragraph, and then move on to another question. Okay, the same thing for adding an image. So if you're a math teacher, if you're, any teacher who'd like to use an image of something, you can add an image. You can upload an image, take it from your camera. You can take any images from your Google Drive, You can put in, by URL. If you're going to navigate within your Google Drive, it'll, offer you everything within your Google Drive. And again, asking a question about it. I'm not going to demo that because I don't have a picture handy that I could use right now. Okay, so I just want to pause and give an opportunity for anyone to just click on the raise hand option if you have any questions. I don't see any. And I don't think I hear, could you search for an image when you click on one? Okay, so if I went to, I can either upload, get one from my camera, by URL, photos. Yeah, search for photos. I don't know how you would Google, there you go, Google image search. So let me just search for, let's say, El Capitan. There we go. So I can search for and select and then insert. And here it comes. Yes, so there you go. Yes, you can. Okay, so that makes it even easier. All right, so since there are no questions, okay, is there a limit to how long a paragraph response will be? That's a good question. And I'm sorry that I don't know the answer to that. Dee, maybe you can Google that on the side and come back. Is there a limit to how long a paragraph can be in a Google form answer? So Dee's gonna look into that and get back to us because I'm not certain of that. Okay, so I just wanna go back here and make sure that I am following my guide here. So we created a Google form and now I'm gonna show you settings because this is really, really important. Because if you don't create the settings correctly on your form, then students and others will not be able to look at your form. So the first thing I want to share, we'll deal with Google Classroom last, and then it's good that Dee's on the call because she is running the Google Classroom webinars as well. So she can help answer any of the questions if I can't. But these two buttons up here at the top, the gear and the send button, they're very important. The one thing I want to show you before getting into the gear and the settings is this preview button. If you just want to preview what it's going to look like, because we see all of this excess on the sides, this is the preview button for seeing what will be sent out. And you might notice like, oh, I don't like that type of question answers. That is unclear. That's simply just going to allow you to see what it would look like from the participant's point of view. Let me get rid of that. So this send button and the gear, this is really important because at this point in time, school districts, oh, you know what I did? Sorry. I just closed out of that. Let me just go back to, oh, here it is. Here's my form. School districts right now, when I click on this settings button, it defaults to this. If you leave this webinar with nothing else, this is the single most important thing that I'm going to share, or else your forms are not going to be able to be seen by others. This right here where it says restrict to users in Carbon County, if I wanted to send this to anyone outside of my intermediate unit, this has to be checked. So if you are sending a form to parents, if you are sending a form to non-Google users, this has to be unchecked. Otherwise, no one's going to be able to access it. In this setting, you can also collect email responses if you'd like, so that you don't have to make that one of the questions. You can also edit, allow respondents to edit after they have submitted, and you can limit it to one response. So if it's something that you only want one response from, that would be the setting that you would select. Also, please make sure to save this setting. Okay, if you don't uncheck this, because all of your school districts that are using Google, it will have this exact restriction except with your school district's name in it. If you don't uncheck that and save, you will not be able to send that out. Okay, so clarify limit one response. And I'm going to, I have to unmute D again. I don't know why. Hang on one second and I will clarify that question. So there we go. D, there we go. I think I unmuted you, D.
Yep, you did.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Just to answer that question, let's say that you just wanted to have a form that you've given students an assignment, you know, an ongoing assignment throughout this, you know, communication, that they submit a form for books that they have read, whether, you know, they're picture books, whatever it might be. So you might want to have that be a standing form, and you don't want to limit it to one response, because you want them to be able to access that form and continue to submit the same form. If it's a quiz, you're going to want to limit it to one response or a worksheet. Okay, let's, another question. If you are only putting the form into a Google Classroom, do you need to unclick where it is only for people in your district? No, because you are only sharing it with people in your district. Will it stop them from completing it at home, even though they would be signed into their school Google account? No. If they are signed into their Google account, they should be able to access the form. So if you are only sending that form to students within a Google account, you do not need to worry about unchecking that form. If it is a form that you are using right now in order to get everybody to your Google Classroom, and therefore are sending it to parents, emails, or you know, an email of a guardian, then you would have to use it initially. You know, another use outside of academics is, you know, to send this to, you know, friends and family. You would have to click on that as well to uncheck it. Okay. All right.
I have an answer for the limit on how long a response can be. So either Kelly, I can walk you through it on your screen, or I can show my screen. You let me know what you want me to do.
You can walk me through it. Is it hard?
Okay. So no, you want to go to edit, go to a new question.
So should I go to the paragraph question that we already have?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
So if you go to the 3 dots next to required, go to response validation. Mm-hmm. And now you can say,
there you go.
Yep. So if you go to length, you're going to see regular expression. There's a minimum and maximum character count, and you can fill out all of that however you want it.
Okay. So I would say length, and then maximum character count, minimum character count. So you actually identify. So maximum, if I did 500 words, please enter a whole number. I think because I put in a space. That's, so if you put in a space, it doesn't like that. So 500, and then custom error text. I'm not sure what that means. But this is it. Yeah, so you actually identify the minimum and maximum, which is nice. Okay, I'm gonna move on. UD. Okay, so if I go up here to this send button, this is where you can, and I said you can either send this via email, which I so infrequently, I can't imagine you using, because you would have to type in every single email address that you want to send this to, which is kind of a waste of time, because you can share a link. So if you click on this button, it is the link to your form, which is how I got all of you to answer, to click on the form earlier. I shared a link with you. This is a very long link. Sometimes people don't like very long links. So if you notice right here, there is a shorten URL link. It made it a little bit shorter. Notice there is a copy button. You can post this on Facebook or Twitter too. Okay, you can embed. That's what these arrows are for. I'm going to copy this. And then I am actually just going to open up a new tab, paste it in the new tab, and you'll notice it goes to my form. Okay, let me go back to the form here. And if you are in Google Classroom, you would simply, when you're going to add something, you're going to select add from your Google Drive, and you're going to navigate to this particular form, and it will add your form. So that says, does anyone have any question on how to share this form? I'll pause. Okay. Dee, there is a request
I see that.
do you have a form that you can show how to add it in Google Classroom?
Yes.
Okay, let me share, get my.
I have sharing rights.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason, as the co-host, you get sharing rights, but you don't get the microphone. That's kind of weird. But anyway, I'll jump out and jump to Google Classroom and show you.
So I have to click on make you the host right now, or no?
No,
Okay.
oh yeah, you disabled screen sharing. So.
Okay, I'm gonna make you the host.
Okay. All right. So I am going to share my screen very quickly here and show you what this looks like when you are, okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just get these things out of the way here so I can go and grab my Google Classroom. So when you're in Google Classroom and you want to share a form, a quiz, whatever it might be, with your students, there's a couple of ways to do it. The first way would be you go to classwork, you go from your stream to your classwork, and you create a quiz assignment. And it automatically creates a blank quiz. So you could, on the fly, right inside of the assignment, create your quiz using that blank form. Or you can go and choose your Google Drive and go and find a quiz that you've already created or a form you've already created in your Drive. So I can go to my Drive and I can navigate anywhere in my Drive to find a form if I have it tucked away in a certain folder or whatever. I would just click on that and choose add. Now it added it here. I don't want this blank one. You have to remember that when you do create a quiz, it automatically generates a blank form for you to build your quiz. You've already got one created, you just go to your Drive, you add it, and you get rid of that one. This quiz now, over here is where you assign it to your students. And if you're a Chromebook using school, you can put it in lock mode on Chromebooks that students cannot navigate out and do Google searches and such until they're finished with the quiz. Are we good?
I think we're good. Just a couple of questions in the chat. Another option would just be pasting the link, correct, in an assignment.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can paste the link in an assignment, but so that's two different things. If you're pasting the link in the assignment, it's not going to do any automatic grading for you if you want it to be a graded quiz. If you just want it to be a survey or you know, something you might be a pre-assessment or an assignment, right, that you just want answers and you're not worried about grading it, then do it that way. But if you want to grade it, you want to actually do it in the as a quiz.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think we answered all the questions. The only, I'm going to go back because someone asked me to just quickly review the send options. But one other thing while he's sharing back with me, whenever you, so there was a question, so it automatically saves in Google Form, and the question is yes. So there's no save button, there's no, you know, if you accidentally close out and you go back into your Google Drive, it will be there, even if you didn't title it. Many times there's something in there that's called untitled, untitled form, untitled document. It will save. Okay.
All right, Kelly, you're back to being the host.
Okay. All right, so I am going to go back to my tabs. Can you see my screen now, Dee?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to quickly go back to this Google form that I was creating the sample with. And just before we move on, I want to share with you, again, unchecking this box and saving if you are planning on sending this out to anyone outside of your organization, and then the send button. Once you get to the send button, if you want to email it, you would put your recipients in here. You want to get the link, you can copy it here. If you'd like to shorten the link, copy it again. And then I believe those are probably the only two options you would use. Notice there's a collect email addresses as well. Okay, so now I want to make sure that we get to this, one of the final items, which is how do you see the responses? And I'm going to actually go to my form. So you all filled out this form earlier in the session. So you saw it in this preview mode. This is what it looked like for you. But on my end, this is what it looks like. Notice that I still have all my editing tools here, and I'm going to click on responses. So these are the responses. You can see there are 65 responses. This is giving me a summary. If I click and just scroll down, you can see this. How comfortable are you feeling? What grade level do you teach? We have a lot of 7 to 12 here. Here were you able to watch the video? How are you hoping to use Google Form? Okay, and then you'll see all the answers. Now that is looking at a summary. If I want to look at it by question, I can look at the 28 responses here, the 21 responses for this. Okay, I can look at each of them individually. And then if I want to look at an individual person, I can see the answers. However, it's not telling me who created that answer, which of course you're going to want to know. So that is where this green button here comes in handy, because this is a spreadsheet. So this is Google Sheets. You don't need to know how to work Google Sheets in order to just look at this document. So I'm going to open this, create a new spreadsheet, yes. And now it is going to open in Google Sheets. So one thing that I want to keep in mind while it's creating is when you submit a form, if it is not in Google Classroom and you think that you are going to want to alphabetize your students' answers, I would ask first name and last name separately, because when you go into the last name column, you can sort them. So I am going to show you, for example, these are all of the, these are the questions across the top. How comfortable are you? What grade level do you teach? Were you able to watch it? How are you hoping to use Google Forms? If I wanted to sort this, let's just pretend how comfortable are you is last names. And I wanted to sort it A to Z. Now it's going to give me all the ones first, the twos, just like it would have all the A's, B's, C's. It would be in alphabetical order. Okay, so I'm going to undo that. But this is where you can see all of the answers to the questions. And of course, if we had, it timestamps it, but if this was our first name, we would be able to see all of the answers and the students' names and their answers. If there was a question here in F, everything that is past this line right here would be cut off. So one thing that you can do is extend this over so that you can see, and it's not going to demonstrate it right now because there is no question there. But another thing you can do is you can highlight, and I don't want to overwhelm anybody right now, but you can highlight this whole column. And up here, this button right here that says text wrapping, I can make sure that it doesn't cut off. So now I see it all in just one nice column. So again, you would highlight this whole thing and go up to, and you know, it's nice because if you hover over any one of these, it tells you what it is. It's called text wrapping, and therefore you can see all of their answers in one column. They just made the columns wider. Okay. All right, so let me pause a moment and see if there's any questions in the chat.
Nothing has come through the chat
Great.
so far.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this slideshow a moment because I want to offer an opportunity to brainstorm different ways to use Google Forms. And then I'm also going to, on the next slide, I'm going to share with you this this Google Doc that I created. So at the end of this session, for if anyone has to leave, but I just wanted to share with you at the end of this session, I am going to post a bunch of links at the very end. One of them that will be useful for you. And this is one of them. You're not gonna be able to click on this.
I'm gonna interrupt you, Kelly, for a sec.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yep.
There's a question or a comment or a wondering. Somebody put in there wondering why would they use a form rather than just post in Google Classroom?
Okay, so that's a great question. And I'm assuming, and tell me if I'm wrong by putting in the chat, but I'm assuming you're wondering what kind of uses there are for Google Form. Like, why would you create a Google Form rather than just ask a question in Google Classroom? So if that is not correct, you can interrupt, but I'm going to go back to this screen 11, and my teachers are the most creative people, so I am going to put this Google Draw Brainstorm into the chat, and I'm hoping this isn't going to be a disaster. Hold on, I actually need to get the link, so ignore. If everybody, just the way you did, click on that link, just like you did with the form, and I'm going to do it too. This is a great way to get a group brainstorm at the same time. So you should see a screen and look at everybody's joining it. It says ways to use Google Form. What I'm going to ask you to do is go to Insert and then Text Box. And just create a text box where it doesn't appear to be anyone else. So again, insert text box. You're going to get a little crosshairs, and then just try to go to an empty spot. And this, I wasn't expecting 70 some people. Actually, there were only 15 signed up as of this morning. So it's probably going to get a little crazy. But I also wanted to demonstrate this just because it's a nice way to get your students all brainstorming on in the same place. For those of you who have ever heard of Padlet, it used to be free and it is no longer free. So while people are writing, because that might be too chaotic for some of you, it's a little chaotic, but I see surveys, I see quizzing, polling, brainstorming, collecting responses more easily, survey parents on Class Dojo, add music, examples to test, listening skills, to do surveys. Somebody put in there for special ed, this would be helpful for parent input and teacher input. It would help out the regular ed teachers, make everyone feel valued. Someone just, all right, so. Okay, so like I said, I just really wanted to offer an opportunity for people to not only brainstorm themselves and just interact a little bit, but also to kind of show off. This is something called Google Draw, and this is available the same way Google Forms is. If you go to new and then more. Oh, somebody put over here, that was good, a comment on the side. A form is a way to push out multiple types of questions, videos, info in a single assignment, and that is absolutely correct. Okay. So you can continue, you can navigate back to that, and you can make a copy and then move some of the text boxes around. But I'm actually gonna go back to the slideshow and the next slide, which I will put this, I will make this available to you as well. And all of these links are clickable once I share that link with you. But just to, read off of some of the ideas, and this is actually coming from a Google Forms course that I teach. And, if you want to solicit student parent information or feedback, interest surveys, quick polls, they're great for bell ringers, pre-instruction, so formative assessment, and all of these links have examples. So this is going to be, a useful link for you as well. You could have it as a peer editing tool, a flipped classroom assignment, which, I think we're all doing at this moment. This is great for you for rubrics, and that would be another example when.
Kelly?
Yeah.
Can you put that in present mode? People are wondering if you can make it bigger.
Sure. Let me actually grab the link and then they can look at it themselves too. Copy. So I'm going to title what this is. Okay, so there's the link. So click on that link, and then you should be able to pull that up in a tab and actually click on, I'm going to click on the actual Google Doc here, and I'll make it a little bit bigger. It's not letting me make it bigger with, there we go. But I just wanted to show you. So for example, it just keeps making it bigger. That's not what I want to do. So if I just click on one of these links, it's giving me an example. Okay, so each of those links is going to give you an example of a form that does just what it's saying it will do. So for example, the first one, I clicked on solicit student parent information and feedback. The example that I just pulled up right here is an example of a form that would do that. So, I just wanted to make sure that I shared with you a lot of examples. So that's what this is for right there. Okay. All right. So let me just go back to this slideshow and go to the next slide. and, you know, just offer you an opportunity to ask any more questions.
The exit ticket link says you need permission.
It shouldn't. I don't know. That's weird. So since someone brought up the exit ticket, okay.
I put it in the link in the chat. I put it in the chat.
Yes. So this is, if everyone can see my screen, and I made the slide small on purpose. I'm going to until there are no more questions. So this is the very last thing in the chat, but I am going to share with you all of these items. I'm going to share with you this slide deck link. I'm going to share with you, I don't really think you need the sample form again, but I will share it just so people can have an example. I'm going to share with you the Google Forms tutorial, which is the link to that video. I'm going to share with you the Google Draw Brainstorm link, the use for Google Forms, which is the document that I just shared with you, and the exit ticket. But I just want to make sure before I do that, there's no more questions, because what will happen is if there are questions, it will go, you'll have to scroll up.
They want you to show them how you did the brainstorm slide.
Oh, okay, the Google Draw. Okay, yeah, let me do that quickly. So I'm going to go into my Google Drive, okay? So everyone hopefully can see I'm in my Google Drive right now, and I'm going to go to New and More and Google Draw. Google Drawings is right there. So once I click on this, it's just like a checkered board, and that's it. So what I would do, I'm going to insert a text box, and I would put my directions up here, something like create a text box and share whatever it is. And again, I think we just all have to lower our expectations for organization and accept chaos, because just like it was a little chaotic when you were all adding, it was, you know, it will likely be chaotic with your students. But the nice thing is you could give them like a timer, like 30 seconds. Everyone has 30 seconds to put in their text box and their brainstorm. And then you, because you are the owner of it, you can go in and move all the text boxes around and shape them so that they're, you know, in order. So if I went back to the one that you'll notice this, like I can reshape. I'm not going to take the time to do it right now, but I could put these all in a line with one another. So I can move them around. Okay, is everyone good with that? Oh, so I'm glad. Look at that, Dee. Now they got two tools for one session. So I'm happy about that.
So the question is, what did you do on your slide deck to get them
what did you do
to that Google Form slide, to the slide with the brainstorming?
Okay, so one thing I did, let me get back to that. I got a lot of tabs. So one thing I did was right here. I took a screenshot of Google and I have a Mac, so I don't know how many of you are going to have Macs, but you should be able to grab your screen. If you don't have a Mac, use your snippet tool. If you do have a Mac, it's Command-Shift-4, but so let me just demonstrate that a moment. I'm going to go back to this screen. Let me move this in the middle. So I did a screenshot, so you'll notice it becomes a crosshairs, and I just took a portion of the screen. I actually took the whole thing, and then I put it on my slide. So for Macs, it saves it to the desktop, and then I just dragged it right onto my slide. And then once I was there, so let me actually do that. I'm just going to add another slide here at the bottom. Once I grabbed that in here, what I did is I linked it. So can everyone see that my slide is chosen? This picture is chosen, sorry. And I went up here to insert link, and then I would share the link to that particular Google Draw. And the way I would do that, and if you're not interested in this, please don't just ignore me right now because I don't want to overwhelm anyone. But when you want to share something, I gotta just title it Draw. You want to, and this is important as well, get your shareable link. So yours is probably going to say anyone in your school district. I'm clicking more and anyone with the link, but this is very important right here. You have to give them editing privileges or else no one's going to be able to write on it but you. Can I do the same with an image to let students circle? Yes, because if they're on Google Draw, they should be able to circle and draw on it. So you could insert your image. Insert image. Image, let me.
I'm just going to answer, Carol. Yes, Command Shift 3 is for a screenshot. That screenshots your entire screen on a Mac, but Command Shift 4 allows you to choose just the section of the screen that you want to grab that screenshot.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that.
And that's on a Mac.
So if I wanted to have them, let's see, circle something. So I don't think they can actually like write on this. I think they can just insert and text and draw. So like if you wanted them to circle and I did insert a circle, and let's just say I wanted to circle, you know, this tree right here. See, it comes like that, but you just, I know, I don't think kids will know, but I know to go in the fill color and make it transparent. But I don't know if the kids will know that. So you might have to do a little instruction on that. So, okay. Okay, so let me, I'm actually going to go back to my slide deck and just want to, you know, restate again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to, you know, me or Dee or anyone at the IU in the curriculum instruction department. We're all here to help you. My email is on the screen in front of you, tremba@cliu.org. And I am going to navigate out of this for just a moment because I want to grab the links.
And I have the exit ticket in the chat again.
And I'm wondering if I copy and paste all of these here, if they're going to be live links, and they are not. Okay, so the exit ticket is in there right now. And I'm going to put these in separately. So here is the slide deck. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to do it. Just hang on a second, guys. Let me just grab these. I want to be able to put it all in at once so you can just copy and paste everything. So perhaps while you're waiting for me to do this, if you want to just open up a new document that you can paste all of these, copy from the chat room and paste, because when we close this session, it's going to go away.
If we just get the slide deck, shouldn't they have all the live links? That's the question.
Yeah, you should at the bottom, but I don't know if anyone wants to navigate their way through it. So that's, you know, up to you. All right, so I am going to put this in the chat room. So if I'm going to allow one last opportunity for questions so that this doesn't disappear. All right, so copy. All right, so right now in the chat, I just added the slide deck. ignore the top, ignore that top part. The slide deck, the Google Forms tutorial video, the Google Draw Brainstorm, the uses for Google Forms, and remember that is a Google Doc that has links to a lot of sample forms, and also the exit ticket. Okay, so once you are able to copy and paste that to save it for later, you are free. We're done. Thank you all for attending. If you have any other questions, again, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us.
Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
I'm just going to wait until the participant numbers go down because people might have some lingering questions that they don't want to ask until there's very few people in the room.